Welcome to this masterclass, Anxiety Inside Out. This is from the course Anti-Anxiety. What I love about helping people with anxiety is for their insight when they remove the misconception they have about anxiety. When they come to me, they usually have so many limiting beliefs, not even about themselves, which is, of course, there. Not about the world, which is as well there, as part of the problem, but about anxiety itself. They have so many limiting beliefs and misconceptions that is like a block. Imagine like a Chinese wall, right? The same. It's the same block that is holding you back from actually doing something and resolving the problem. Not numbing it, not shutting it down, but actually resolving it. In today's masterclass, we will talk about those biggest misconceptions. I'm going to remove them. You're going to look at the things differently, not against something. I'm going to talk about medication, for example, not against medication, but look at the medication differently. We're going to talk about the brainwashing and the limiting beliefs we have about anxiety, right? We will talk about what is actually anxiety, where is it coming from, and why the outside conditions and environment and events you believe are causing you anxiety and how this loop happens, like a never-ending cycle. We will talk about what you can do with your thoughts that are causing anxiety, how many approaches you can have, and you can choose the best for yourself. We will do a little practice about how to let go, right? How to understand that your body has an incredible ability to let go. And also, we will dive into the little cause and one of the causes of why you get so anxious when something unexpected happens, something you have not predicted before, and why we get so anxious from the unknown and uncertainty. A little dive into probably the third week of the course. Let's go. I'm really happy you're here, and I'm a hypnotherapist, so I love working with the subconscious mind. I have been a fan of working with the subconscious mind because it works a little bit different than the logic. All your day life, right? You are operating. You believe you're operating on the logical level. However, on the background, the 95% of the operating system is run by your emotional and survival brain. And that, if you don't know what's happening there, it's going to control you. That's how we feel like, oh, I'm so out of control. I feel like I'm helpless in dealing with worries, with fears, with panic attacks, and with anxiety. So let's go. The biggest misconception that people have about anxiety is that something triggers anxiety. There is something in the world outside of my control that is triggering my anxiety. That is like a little feed for more helplessness and more hopelessness. If you believe that something outside of your life is causing you anxiety, then you believe you have no control over your responses. Maybe you know logically, if I ask you logically, oh yeah, I know we create our reality. Oh, I know that the way we respond to the events defines the way we're going to feel about them. But subconscious mind doesn't know that. Subconscious mind reacts, and that's it. On the everyday life, you notice that you are blaming or putting the responsibility for the anxiety, for the anxious feelings or overwhelmed thoughts, which is also anxiety, on something else. Your partner, political situation, uncertainty in the world, pandemic, tariffs, war, like anything. Anything is increased prices, something your parents did or your partner did that you haven't expected. That's what's causing your anxiety. And so that's like a loop that doesn't have a resolution. Because you have no control on the outside condition, how can you resolve the anxiety if you believe there is something else? You can isolate yourself, which I saw in my clients, that some clients started to isolate the triggers. right? They started to avoid them. So other people's opinions worry me. Okay, I'm just going to sit quietly and not really go to social events. Oh, relationship really trigger my anxiety. Okay, so I'm just not going to be in a relationship, right? Because they're causing me, my parents are causing me anxiety. So I'm just going to cut them out and not even not even call them because they are narcissistic, whatever people. So they isolate themselves at home. And now a fear of loneliness is causing, now the fear of loneliness is causing their anxiety, right? And so now they are even more trapped. I've seen that, right? When people try to isolate the triggers, and like, I'm gonna avoid this and avoid this and avoid this and avoid this, at some point, people stop living life. And that is all caused by that limited belief that something is causing my anxiety. Why? You are having this misconception. It's a very natural conclusion. When your thoughts are unconscious, you don't notice them. All you notice is that your body is already responding in the way that safe or not safe. For example, not safe. You start to have an increased heartbeat. You start to have stomach problem, that little tightening in your stomach, a tightening in your chest, hyperventilation. You start to sweat. Symptoms of anxiety, right? Because you look at these symptoms, you didn't know the thoughts that preceded them. So you respond now to your body symptoms. And that a very natural conclusion, because we are so unaware of what's causing anxiety, that we start to respond to our body symptoms. That's my body is giving. I'm wired like that. I have a faulty brain, faulty neurotransmitters. I have not enough serotonin, whatever is there outside in the information. You start to respond to, oh, my body symptoms are giving me the thoughts. But you forgot a little factor that is very important, that those symptoms are the outcome, the outcome of the thoughts before those symptoms, right? So you have thoughts that are creating anxiety or anxious feelings. You don't know these thoughts. They create the body symptoms. Now you respond to body symptoms, which creates more thoughts. Now you're in a loop. And you want to get out of it, but you can't, because you believe something else is causing you anxiety, not your own thoughts. Right? So in this course, that's what we're going to do. So the biggest misconception is that anxiety is from the outside in, not from the inside out. And that's what's causing people not to do something that actually they need to do. Like the healing, the becoming, the mindfulness, being honest with themselves. We're going to talk, there will be a whole masterclass about honesty to yourself. Right? The more honesty with yourself you are, the more free you are. So another misconception is that medication is what will help me be less anxious, right? If I take a medication, right, then I'm going to feel better. What medication does, let's just say antidepressants, that also people are prescribed for anxiety as well, and SSRIs, right? So the medication alters how neurotransmitters are used in your brain. These little things, right? Neurotransmitters, right? How are they used? If you need more serotonin, right, then the medication can alter the way the serotonin will be used, right? Also, it will decrease and numb your fight or flight response, and this is where the trick comes in. This is where the most dangerous tricks comes in. Remember, I'm not against medication. I'm against only medication. I'm not against using medication to stabilize the state of the person, especially in a big distress. I'm against only using medication to resolve a problem. Because medication will keep you out of trouble, but it will also keep you out of change. And change is the only thing that can bring results that you want. Staying out of trouble, right, is not going to change anything. But because you stay out of change, medication does not change your thoughts. So for example, if you feel not good enough, medication is not going to make you feel enough. If you feel not smart enough, medication is not going to make you feel smart enough. How can medication make you feel smart enough? Like, how? It can numb a fight or flight response, which means you will not feel these symptoms in the body. You're going to be more in a calmer, numb state, which means that there will be less thoughts about the body symptoms. But the feeling of not enough, the beliefs, it doesn't change. And the most dangerous trick about medication is because it numbs a fight or flight response, and it doesn't change the thoughts, the initial thoughts about I'm not happy with my life, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, there is something wrong with me, something that I want is not available to me, I'm not safe. All of these beliefs might create more thoughts that are very negative. For example, what's the point in life? What's the point in living if I'm not good enough, if I'm not worthy, if I'm a piece of garbage, all of that negative self-talk. So if you have those thoughts and you don't have a fight or flight response, which means your protective mechanism for your body, what do you think can happen if you have a suicidal thought and you don't have a fight or flight response? People are more prone to act upon those thoughts because they don't have a fight or flight response. A fight or flight response is not only to give you trouble and the symptoms of anxiety, it's also to indicate that you're not safe and to protect you, to avoid danger, right? As much as it sometimes avoids unnecessary things like social events, right? Anxiety sometimes keeps you away from relationships or from opening up, from trust, from public speaking, from being okay with other people's opinions. Yes, these are unbeneficial for sure, things that the body, the fight or flight response is protecting you from. It also protects, if it's numbed and you have suicidal thought, you're not going to be afraid to act upon it. So I had a couple of clients who unfortunately lost their adolescence kids to suicide. They were on medication and they acted upon their suicidal thoughts. Because the fight or flight response is numbed, it's inhibited. It's for you to not feel that increased heart rate, tightening, all of these symptoms, right? So that you can go and function in the world. You don't want to function in the world. You want to live. You want to thrive, you want to grow, you want to heal, you want to enjoy, not function. Animals maybe function, even though they're in the present moment, so probably have more inner peace than us, right? Animals can function, and organisms, bacteria can function. But we are people, we're human beings, we have consciousness. We want to grow, learn, enjoy, reflect, get excited, get curious, act upon the curiosity. That's what we want to do. We don't want to function. So this is something that people have as well. Like if there is something outside of me causing me anxiety, then something outside of me has to help me with my anxiety. Here is a bomb that drops right now. No one can heal your anxiety. Not because they don't want to, because they can't. No one will heal your anxiety, not because they don't want to. Oh my goodness, how many psychologists want to fix other people's anxiety? Even I have that thought, right? Oh my God, I would love to help them not feel anxious. They can't. I can't. I can help with some sort of an inner resource. I can help with elicit some response, in an unconscious mind. I can help people learn about their mind. But no one but you can actually heal it, resolve it, understand it. With the help of outside resources. But the responsibility is not on the outside resources. If you understand that, it will come with that sort of, I have the power. I have the power. Yes, it comes with a sort of a disappointment that no one outside of me can help me, but also it comes with a power, with empowerment. Switch it from the disappointment to empowerment, that I actually can do it. If I get the right information, if I keep learning, keep growing, keep experiencing, then I can resolve it. I have the power. Isn't that what we want? Isn't that what you want in life, to have the power over your life? But when it comes to the problems, oh, no, that's someone else. No, that's someone else. My depression, oh, that's someone else is responsible for that. That's my childhood is responsible for that. Here is another bomb that drops right now. You're not responsible for the childhood trauma that you formed the limiting beliefs about yourself. You're not responsible, but you are responsible for why it's still here, why the limiting beliefs are still here, why you're still keeping onto the old patterns. You're not responsible for what happened, but you're responsible why you still stay in the same beliefs you formed at 8. And that we really want to have control over our life. We really want to have control over our life, but it's so often we're like, oh, now I have to figure it out. No. When it's something good, I want to have control over my life, but if something bad, I want to put it on someone else. So that's the biggest misconceptions about anxiety. When we numb, which you could numb not only with medication, you can also numb anxiety with alcohol, with cannabis, right? You can also numb anxiety with drugs. You can numb anxiety with sex, right? There's a lot of different addictions that we have. Some people have even sex addiction, right? When they are they're very prone, they believe that that's their release, right? And they do it every single day, a couple of days a week, like a couple of times a day. That's called sex addiction, right? When we numb it, what we do is we block the whole energy. Anxiety is a huge energy. It's a huge fight or flight or freeze response. That's an accumulation of various forms right here. It's accumulation to act upon something, right? To either run or protect, fight back, right? And if there is no other options, we will freeze, right? So it's a huge energy that needs to be released, and you numb it. You actually numb it. You don't release it. You decompress it a little bit, but you don't release it. So then what happens is it starts to show up in anger issues, right? You start to have anger outbursts. Then you have compulsiveness, impulsive, OCD, right? OCD, because it's numbed, now it's impulsive shopping, right? It could be impulsive drinking, right? Impulsive binging Netflix or TV shows. It could be impulsive reading. I had a client who was like, you know what? Because I don't want to. She was amazing. She's a very smart woman. She was about 39, 40, and she came to me that she was a very strong, a very, very interesting request. I want to live in the reality, not in my illusions. She was very aware of already when she came to me what was happening. She was binging on romance books. She would read book after book because she would be so much in that story that she didn't have to deal with the reality. In the reality, she had health problems, relationship problems, parenting problems. She had problems with at work, procrastination. She didn't want there was no progression, natural progression and unfolding of her life because she was not living. She was in illusions all the time. Romance after romance book after romance book. And so she was just so in those soap stories, that she couldn't deal with the reality. She became so aware that outside of one day, only an hour and a half or 2 hours, she was actually in the reality. She was actually doing something. Can you imagine that? We can waste our life in so many different ways. However, nothing is a waste. The universe doesn't know the waste, so we are not wasting. We are just living ignorantly, unaware, until we become aware, and then it becomes more painful, and then we do something about it. So, same. That could be also a strategy to numb the anxiety, because when I deal with the reality, I have to take a responsibility, to be committed, to understand my past decisions and take outcomes out of it. I have to be strong, for example, or I have to learn. I have to be open to different ideas, right? That's life. But I'm not there. So there are different ways. And so when we numb it, it's going to show up in, by the way, this client, this lady, she had anger issues on every level. Out of that 1 hour and a half, she was screaming and yelling because everything kind of frustrated her, annoyed her. Her kids annoyed her. Her husband annoyed her. Like, everyone annoyed her. The work annoyed her. She was not interested in anything but reading those books. So, remember that our mind will find any way that is the fastest way to release the pain and be in the pleasure. Your subconscious mind is designed out of millions of years of evolution to move you towards pleasure and away from pain in the fastest possible way. So when you take a glass of wine every day, it's a very fast way to release anxiety, which means that your body, of course, is going to lead you to that specific habit once again. Because do you remember? It was so fast. You drank a couple of sips of the wine, and it got better. That's what happens. However, because of that accumulation of the energy, it starts to show up in different impulsiveness, anger, lack of libido, right? Like different other things. Body starts to gain weight, right? So different issues that could show up that something is not working out. Your body will talk for you. Don't worry. Aggressiveness, right? Anger, frustration, annoyance. That's what will show up, that you are numbing, you are suppressing. You're not resolving, but suppressing, right? So for many, many years, we have been told these stories. These stories that your brain is faulty. Your brain is faulty. There is a problem in your brain. The brain is not functioning the way it's supposed to function. Right? And so out of that belief, you form a belief that there is a problem. If I fix the problem, it's going to fix how I feel. Unfortunately, if you use any outside thing, which is possible, for example, if I have a fever, I will use to help my body. But I will also realize that my body is very strong, that it is capable of healing on its own with the help of maybe natural components of the nature, because nature has all the things, right, for our healing. So I'm not against using outside pill, medication, drugs, right, to help relieve the intense symptom, but I'm against not reflecting upon why that's happening, why the body is giving you these symptoms. And that's about anxiety as well. That something outside, like another story that we're told, that something outside of our brain is kind of can increase the level of happy hormones, happy neurotransmitters in our brain, right? You don't want the dopamine only. You want oxytocin. You want endorphins. You want other hormones that can help you feel better. And oxytocin is about connection. It's about thriving in life. It's about being in a group, So if you are by yourself, sitting there, drinking drugs or drinking alcohol or trying to numb or trying to do anything, shop impulsively, or doing whatever your mind compensated, right? Then you think, oh, something else will give me that. And so that creates a lot of feeling out of control. I'm not in control of my body and I'm not in control of my mind. So how can you resolve the anxiety if you feel out of control of your mind? So that's another story that we've been told. Because of course, you need to buy something. In order for you to buy something, someone needs to sell you the idea that you need it, isn't it? Right? And it can be beneficial, it can be non-beneficial. It doesn't matter, right? So someone has to sell you an idea that you really need this. Need this to feel better. And some of those things are beneficial and some of those things are not. Another story that we are feeding on as well is that we don't have to act. We just have to change the mindset. So I just have to meditate and I'm going to be calm and relaxed. Meditation really helps. like self-hypnosis, meditation, mindfulness practice, breath work, really helps to release the anxiety. Really helps. Not to resolve, to release. To feel more calmer. But action, it was what's going to elicit the change for you to see that, oh, what I'm doing is working. You need to have a reward, right? So you are meditating, but you're not acting. You're not starting, for example, you're not quitting the job that is toxic. You're not resolving the relationship problem. You're just meditating. You're so calm when you meditate. But as you don't meditate, you're back to your old self, right? So action is required for you to see the results of your new beliefs, the results of your new actions and behaviors, so that you can feel that reward. It's going to feel good and create a good loop for you. So action is as important as change in the mindset and change in the beliefs. And you can work together. You can use those. You can use both action and both change in the mindset. One important thing that I would love for you to understand, that why, we're gonna move to another one, why we are anxious and why we are so triggered by the unpredictable, unknown situations. So our mind works like an AI, right? Actually, if you know how artificial intelligence works, it predicts, right? It makes on a prediction of the next word. So if I tell you that, thank you so much for joining this, you will probably have a prediction, course, a video, masterclass, program, right? It's going to be a very easy prediction. If I say, you know what, I have changed the color of and I'm touching my hair, right? Which means you are predicting that it's hair, even though I didn't say that. Same happens in everyday life. You're always predicting the next word that is going to be said. However, if the word is not the same as you predicted, you make corrections. For example, thank you so much for joining this brush. Sounds weird, right? Like you didn't expect that next word to come out, so you make a correction in your mind. You're like, oh, she probably made a mistake, or she probably didn't think, about what she's going to say, or what is that brush for? So you will have little corrections, but as I correct myself as well, you will kind of like let it go and just go on with the rest of the masterclass. So you predict all the time. If something doesn't happen according to your predictions, you correct. And it's easy to do it in everyday life. People tell you the story, something really interesting. You kind of predict, but it turns out to be completely different. We are very excited when we listen to the interesting story, when we read the book, when we watch the movie. We are very excited about these corrections, when things don't turn out the way we expect. We love it. It gets excitement. But in life, we don't like that. Because in the movie, in the book, you kind of put the judgment aside, it's not real. But in life, when something doesn't happen according to your predictions, and if you are not trained to make corrections really fast, what happens? You get anxious. You feel out of control. You feel frustrated. You feel fearful. You even can have panic attack. So the goal of mastering your mind is to be so fast with corrections. Let's just say financially successful people, they make corrections really fast. Something doesn't happen, they correct it. They correct it in their mind. Okay, let's do this. So they make decisions all the time because they make corrections really fast. People who are not financially successful, they don't make corrections really fast. They are stuck in the helplessness, in the hopelessness, in the frustration, in the anger, in blaming someone for that the things didn't happen according to their plan, right? So you can see that when the stock fell, right? A lot of people were panicky. But a lot of people say, oh, it's just, they make corrections. They make corrections really fast. So that's why you get anxious, because you don't have yet a skill to make corrections really fast. you come, that's what happens when we are frustrated with our kids. Kids are unpredictable, more unpredictable, because they're growing and evolving so fast. They're like the amount of growth that happens between 0 and 18 is tremendous, right? And so you might not keep up with these changes. So one day your child was pretty calm and confident and happy, and then another way they're acting out and doing something that like completely outside of, of your expectations. It's about gaining the skill of making the corrections. We are going to learn that. I'm going to show you how you can make corrections really fast. Because if you make those corrections, something happens not according to your plan, but you're okay with the outcome. You're so much faster to release and come back to the inner peace, to feel okay with the outcomes. Remember, when we are kids, something happens. Could be in the womb. Some kids say, not kids, but already adults say, my mom didn't want me. And so I feel that feeling of unworthiness inside of me. Some people are forming strong belief that they are not safe, that they are not wanted very early in life, on the non-verbal level. The more earlier you form the belief you're not safe, the more primal unconscious anxiety will be, right? Because you can't explain it. I'm not wanted. Like, you can't explain why it's happening, right? And then the loop goes on and on. You form the beliefs. Once you form one belief, one limiting belief, the next one will be formed way faster. It's called compound interest, right? So once you form one belief that is a limiting belief, you're 5 and you're like, I'm not smart enough, or I'm not good enough, or the world is not safe. The next one are formed way faster. Your mind is like opening the door to confusions, and then you form more and more and more beliefs. So anxiety is about the quality of your beliefs and thoughts. One more time, anxiety is the response of your body to your thoughts and your beliefs. If you know what they are, and if you can change them, shift them, look at them differently, let go whichever you don't need, shift and reframe whichever you still need, you will be able to feel more calm, more at peace, more at ease. So that's what it is. A lot of thoughts are unconscious. And in this course, we are going to bring up the unconscious thoughts, so you're more honest with yourself. The more honest you are with yourself, the more in control you feel of your mind. And if you're in control of your mind, you're in control of your life. So a lot of people form the belief that I'm not okay. I'm not okay. And if I'm not okay, I have to prove that I'm okay. I'm not okay because I'm not wanted, or I'm not good enough, all of these childhood limiting beliefs. And then you start to form another meaning. Well, I have to prove that I'm okay. And so you start to prove. In order to prove, you live by social standards, trying to prove that you're good enough. Whatever you do. Getting a slimmer body, becoming more smarter, compounding certificates after certificates, or whether you become a people pleaser, or actually you become narcissistic, like a manipulative person. You still want to prove to yourself and to others that you are okay, right? So the reframe to that, in order for you to feel better from the I'm not okay, is I might not be okay, but I will be okay. I might not be okay right now, but I will be okay. And there is nothing wrong with me. That's a reframe that is more gentle and softer. So use it for a couple of days. Anytime you feel there's something wrong with me, I'm not okay, I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm anxious. I might not be okay right now, but bad feeling is not a bad life. Don't confuse a bad day with a bad life. Don't confuse a broken heart with a broken life. Don't confuse a broken heart with a broken life, and don't confuse bad day with a bad life. And then you will have more freedom. And it's about self-talk. Because if you think about the mind, you all remember the Aladdin, the animation cartoon. You remember about that, I think it was an Eastern, right? Eastern theme around that, Aladdin, and he was having a genie in the bottle. You remember that genie in the bottle? So that genie in the bottle, you remember that story, that if you rub the bottle, the genie comes out and makes your wishes come true. Same is with your mind. Your mind, and I took it from Marisa Peer. Marisa Peer taught us that. She's the founder of one of the most profound methods of hypnotherapy that I'm using right now with clients, is the way you rub, which means the way you talk to your mind, the genie comes out and will make those wishes come true. So if you talk to your mind by rubbing the bottle, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, this world is messed up, I'm not safe, the genie comes out and makes the reality reflect your beliefs. So I will help you to understand that you can rub the bottle with different words and with different beliefs. That's my job in this program. So, as you already understood, that anxiety is happening from the inside out. But because you don't understand the unconscious thoughts and the beliefs, and you don't know how to change them yet, or there is a blocking belief, which we're going to cover in the next 2 masterclasses. We are going to cover the blocking. I want to remove all the blocks before we start to work on the roots and causes. We're going to remove any unconscious hidden agenda while your mind will want to stay anxious. So you will understand that because you don't know the beliefs, you start to feel the feelings and you start to have body symptoms that are causing you to have more thoughts in response to those. Oh yeah, I'm anxious. I'm anxious. So usually it happens, and I would say at all times, anxiety is happening from the inside out. That doesn't mean that your outside conditions are not important. If you're living in a very dangerous place where the war is happening, or you are pre-trapped in your situation where you don't have a freedom of voice, the freedom of choice, right? Of course, those environmental factors play a huge role in why you feel helpless and anxious. So it's also environmental factors do play a role in the way we feel. But the initial anxiety is about us feeling helpless and hopeless and not being able to act upon it. We are not taking about pure helplessness situation where people are taken hostage, right? Where they've been trapped in prisons, for example, or they are, for example, Afghanistan, right? Where the women cannot actually leave the country, right? So it's a helpless situation in itself. There are a lot of, I'm not talking about those, I'm talking about us, the people who do have a choice, who do have a voice, and who do have a freedom to act the way they want to act. So things are not making you anxious. Political situation is not making you anxious. The fear of change, the fear of poverty, not being confident in your skills, the lack of those skills, right? You're not sure in the future because you're not sure in your resources to deal with the future. So it's not about political situation. Your partner, same. Your partner doesn't make you anxious. The codependency, right? The fear of loneliness, the fear of betrayal, the fear of being not good enough, the fear of being cheated on, for example. Those fears are causing not your partner. So please remember that. Remember, every time you feel anxious, think about those are the quality of my thoughts. It's only about the quality of your thoughts. If you can improve the quality of your thoughts, what do you think will happen? Yeah. Anxiety is a symptom. It's a messenger to tell you what's happening. Where is the faulty conclusion? Because usually if you have a problem, if you have anxiety around some areas of your life, it means you have faulty conclusions about it. You have faulty conclusions about yourself and about the world. If you correct them, make corrections, then the way you feel and your body will feel better and more safer and more at peace. People believe that I'm anxious and it's going to be like that forever. The law of the universe states about the impermanence of all things in the life and in the world. So if nothing is permanent, how can anxiety be permanent? How can something be outside of the laws of the universe, which have been there for millions and millions of years, and they are still there? Like the cause and effect law, right? Or the law of impermanence, right? How? Which means that you can change anxiety, you can heal it if you release that belief that it's permanent. Nothing is permanent in this life. Your mind is supposed to act upon your thoughts, so it acts upon your belief that it's permanent. So you feel anxious and it feels like it's permanent. So how do you change your beliefs? Is first, there are three ways how you change your beliefs. By gaining more information and broadening your spectrum of beliefs, right, and perspectives on things. The wider the variety of your concept and perspectives, the calmer you are. By insights. You get the insight. You learn the information. Oh, that's what. That's why. Yes, you know. And the third one is by repetition, right? By repetition of a new belief, new action, new behavior, by letting go what doesn't serve you anymore. I like how Vin, he's a public speaking expert, and he's training. He's saying, do not attach to your current identity, because you don't give a future version of self even a chance. Don't you want to be a future version of yourself? Don't you want to be like, more calm, more at peace, more healthier, wealthier, like happier in life, sexier, whatever you want, don't you? But you're holding on to your old identity. How can you adopt new identity? Where? Like they can't coincide. You can't be up and down at the same time. That's a faulty conclusion in your brain. Right? You conclude that I can be an extrovert and an introvert. I had a client that I had to refund and send her home. I had a client who signed up for the session. She came here and she had so many faulty conclusions, but the problem was she didn't want to let them go. She was like, yes, I want to be free in my mind and spiritually awakened, but I also want my partner, I'm attached to him and I'm so afraid. So I want to be attached, but I don't want to be attached. Like, how? So we played a bit of this. I gave her some assumptions, played a little bit with questions, and I realized, like, hey, go home, really? You want to be up and down at the same time? Well, that's a faulty conclusion. And if you're not ready to let it go, then there is nothing I can do. And my reputation is very important. So I refund her and send her home. Never heard from her. Even though I send her resources, I send her I'm sure you're going to find a healing method. And it's just not, I'm not the person to help you, right? But never really heard from her, of course, because, people who are aware, are responsible, people who are adults, they will respond. Hey, Kate, yeah, we didn't connect, but it's okay. I'm going to find another way. She didn't even respond, right? This is a child inside, right? That is blaming, getting upset, being sad, disappointed, right? It is what it is, right? She's not bad. She's not bad. It's just the quality of the thinking that is going to hold her back from feeling good, feeling happier, feeling more at peace. That's it. But life is a therapy. Life is the best therapy. So life is going to give us events, people, experiences that are going to show what's not working. So when we think about letting go of some of the beliefs, letting go of the thoughts that no longer serve us, letting go of some problems in life, I'm talking about letting go, healing, we have a natural ability to let go. Think about and do it right now. Do a full breath in and gently, softly, confidently let go. One more time. Breathe in. You take in the information. And gently but confidently let go. Let go. Breathing out is letting go. Your body has a natural ability to let go. You're sweating. you're peeing, going to the washroom, you're letting go naturally, which means that you're able to do that with your thoughts, with your beliefs, and your identities, if you're willing to do that. And that can cause a calmer thing, more like feeling like, there are so many options. I'm not hopeless. I'm not out of choice. That's what creates a feeling like, I'm going to be okay. I might feel sad now, but I'm going to be okay. So the mind is habitual. It does make habits. But habits are there to be changed. Thoughts are there to shift because they never stay. They always go, they move, 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 move. You attach to the thought and you don't let it move. But if you don't attach to the thoughts, then they keep moving. So when you think about anxiety, I want you to think that I am thinking something and believing in something that might not be true, that might not be the reality. But I'm responding to those thoughts in a way that is making me feel not safe. And my body, my lovely, wonderful body, is reacting to my thoughts. So I'm going to be gentle on my body, and I'm going to be gentle on myself. I'm going to find out, what are the thoughts that are causing me? What are the beliefs that I formed when I was just a little baby, or just a child, or a kid? Or maybe it was yesterday that I formed that belief. That I can change, because where there is a belief, there is a doubt. Where you have a belief, you have a doubt. Beliefs are there to be changed. They change all the time. And in the next masterclasses, I'm going to show you how fast beliefs can be changed. How fast you can shift that in your mind and what is holding you back. In the next classes, we will do that. I will ask you to listen to the self-hypnosis meditation that is going to create that feeling within yourself that I have the power. I have the power to change it. I have all the resources. Another presupposition of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, you have all the resources already within yourself. You just need a bit of a help. You just need a bit of a time. You just need a bit of a awareness to bring them up and to use them. I hope that was valuable. The self-hypnosis meditation is going to help you to open your mind to different concepts, to open your mind to different other options. That there are so many ways how you can look at the world, and each way is going to enrich your inner world. I'll see you in the next classes. Bye.